Hello, my name is Magdalena, and today we will sew together two project bags from the Eliza pattern. The pattern is available in the link in the description or on my Etsy store, Pocket Art Atelier. This video is divided into chapters, so feel free to skip around and rewatch parts. This pattern features a place to thread yarn through that you can open to switch between projects midway through without any sacrifices. There are two views available. View A is the one you see on the screen right now. It features snaps as closures. View B is this one. It uses a separating zipper. If you want, you can even use both of these in the same bag to have a yarn opening of both sides. Or you can do one of the fronts twice. There's full customization. The bag is quite big, so it's perfect even for projects such as sweaters on blankets, or to keep your daily belongings in. It uses under a yard of each fabric, main, lining and interfacing. The construction doesn't use a serger, so it's easy to follow without one, and the instructions, with both centimeters and inches, are full of diagrams. What you'll need: the pattern, which can be printed at a copy shop in A0 format, at home in both A4 and letter formats, or you can use file number 4 to measure most pieces out and save on paper and ink. You still need to print 2 pieces, but it's only 5 pages. Fabrics. Remember, you can use multiple fabrics for each of those, but those are the amounts if you want to use one main fabric, one lining fabric, and one interfacing. For the main fabric, dimensions are on the screen. You can use basically any woven, non-stretchy fabric. I will use waterproof Oxford, but even quilted cotton will work. Just keep in mind that you might want to interface it for better structure and durability. For the lining fabric, I recommend using something slippery, so the yarn can slide easily, but if you don't want to work with it, just use a woven fabric. When it comes to interfacing, you can use whatever you have on hand. I use knit interfacing, because that has more longevity than traditional interfacing notions. For either views, I recommend getting 2 snaps to keep everything secure in place in the pockets, but they are optional. On top of that, you'll need View A, 2 snaps, size is on the screen. View B, a separating zipper, 21 cm, 8 inches in length, or get a slightly longer one and shorten it during construction. Equipment. As far as equipment, you'll need only the basics. All-purpose polyester sewing thread, pins or clips. If you want to be extra secure, you can use basting thread and a hand-sewing needle instead. Sewing machine or a lot of patience, fabric scissors, and now you are ready to sew. You can find a glossary of the terms in the pattern instructions, as well as cutting layouts and a bunch of other useful content. First thing we need to do after assembling and cutting out pattern pieces is cutting out all of the pieces from fabric and marking all relevant notches. You can see me do that very fast here. I'm not following the cutting diagram because I used those fabrics before for other projects. The most important part here is paying attention to the grain line arrows. If you think the pieces are confusingly similar, you can mark them with chalk, fabric marker, or thread, but it's not necessary. Now we will apply all the necessary interfacing according to the instructions. After this step, we construct the top panel, the one with the opening. It's labeled with the letter A. We'll start with View A, so piece A1. To begin, we make the handle out of piece E. There are 2 ways to do this. I'll show you them both. Tip: remember to check the length of the handle strap and make sure it's to your liking. The first way to make a handle is by folding piece E, handle, lengthwise and sewing the longer edge like this. What I like to do to make the next step easier is putting a piece of string inside the fold and tucking it at the top. Be careful not to sew through it when you close the handle. Now, you need to flip the piece right side out. This is where the string comes in handy. I just pull on it and watch the strap flip. Detach the string. Now, iron it flat. If you want, feel free to top stitch it for a sturdy handle. Repeat with the other handle. I'll show you the other method of making the handle at the beginning of view B. Now, align the short straight bits at the bottom of the piece A in main fabric, right sides together, to the mirror piece also in main fabric. Sew together on the sewing line of those pieces. Repeat the steps with lining. Iron both of these seams open. Then align lining and main fabric pieces right sides together, sandwiching the handle between the layers, matching the notches. If you want to, you can baste this in place. This part is the trickiest. You want to sew along the middle curve and the top, making sure you don't catch the other side. If it's too difficult, feel free to sew around the circle by hand. Press the piece flat and clip the corners. I like to press the seam open so it turns more easily. Then, turn it right side out. Now, decide on their placement and attach the snaps. And just like that, piece A is complete. Now, let's go back a little and tackle view B. We'll do the handle using the other method. If you want to see the flip-out method, look at the beginning of view A's instructions. Fold the handle in half lengthwise and iron. Then fold the seam allowance in and iron again. Fold close and iron again. Now all that's left is to top stitch. Repeat with the other handle. Now, we'll assemble piece A2. If you want to avoid bulk, instead of sandwiching both ends of the handle, feel free to sew the end closer to the zipper on the inside after sewing in the zipper instead. Going back. Align main fabric piece A2 to the lining A2, right sides together, sandwiching the handle between the layers, matching the notches. If you want, you can baste this in place. This part is the trickiest. You want to sew at the top edge, then half a centimeter, 1/4 of an inch, from the drawn diagonal line, and then around the circle and back on the other side. If it's too difficult, feel free to sew around the circle by hand. Cut down the diagonal line and clip into the circle seam allowance and corners next to the line. Flip the piece to the right side, making sure the corners look nice. Press. Align the zipper to the slit like this. Pin and edge stitch both sides down, moving the pull out of the way as you sew. And just like that, piece A is complete. Now, we're going back to instructions for both views. Once again, there are two ways to start. You can either start with main fabric or lining. If your main fabric is heavy, definitely choose doing lining first, but mine isn't. So I'll opt for doing main fabric first, as in my opinion, it's easier to explain. Details how to do both are in the instructions. Sew piece C, front, in main fabric to piece A's main fabric, matching the triangular notch or the seam in the snap version. Iron the seam open to reduce bulk. Now we'll move on to the front pocket. To construct it, sew both the front pocket pieces together on the top line and flip right side out. Iron closed. You can top stitch or understitch here if you'd like. Baste the front pocket piece to the newly assembled front on the sides and bottom within seam allowance, matching the double notches. If you'd like to add a snap to this pocket, now is the perfect time. Now, the yarn pocket. Take both F pieces, right sides together, sew around them, leaving 5 cm 2 inches opening on the bottom. Clip the corners and flip right side out. Press well. To C front lining piece, attach newly pressed yarn pocket by edge stitching around the side and bottom, not the top. If you'd like to add a snap to this pocket now, it's the perfect time. It's a good idea to interface the one layer of lining in the spot you want to attach the snap to. Next, sew this piece of lining to piece A lining. Check both front pieces are the same length to make sure you didn't use the wrong lining. That's the front part completed. You can repeat all those steps to create a bag with 2 fronts or just continue with me. Now, on to making the back half. Fold G, miscellaneous pocket, in half, aligning the notches, right sides together, and stitch around the sides and bottom, leaving 5 cm 2 inches opening. Clip the corners and flip right side out. To B, back, lining piece, attach G miscellaneous pocket, 10 cm 4 inches up from the notches. This will close the bottom gap and attach the pocket all in one go. Feel free to baste this as it is slippery. Next, decide what size compartments will be useful. I make one skinny one for the hook or needles, and 2 bigger ones for things like scissors, a bodkin, and other accessories such as a row counter. Now, sew B, back lining, to B, back main fabric together, sandwiching one of the E-handle pieces between. You can baste this if it helps. Flip and iron the seams. If you top stitch in the front, do so in the back. All the pieces are joined now, so all that is left is making it into a bag. Put the front panel, right sides of the main fabric together with the back main fabric and sew around the perimeter, making sure to not cut the linings of the handles. Iron the seam open. Now, this part is a little tricky, so look carefully. Fold the corners in a way I'm showing, so the seam allowances are open and stack on top of each other. Sew on this line, making sure that line is 12 cm 4 3/4 inches. Be very careful opening up the space to make sure front pocket is on the front side. Next, the linings. Put the front panel right sides of the lining together with the back lining and sew around the perimeter, making sure to not catch the main fabric and leaving at least 5 cm 2 inches opening at the bottom. If your fabric is thick, leave more. Iron the seam open and repeat the previous step with the triangles. Let me show you again. Fold the corners like this, so the seam allowances are open and stack on top of each other. Sew on the dashed line, making sure the line has 12 cm 4 inches 3/4. If you want to reduce bulk, feel free to cut off all 4 of those corners, leaving only 1 cm seam allowance. Lastly, flip everything right side out through the hole left at the bottom of the lining. Pinch the bottom of the lining and edge stitch it close. Congratulations! You finished the bag. If you made it, please share the photos with me on Instagram with hashtag Eliza Yarnbag, and feel free to add me at MagicDeck. I'd love to see your versions. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. See you next time!